the quiet, hallowed halls of the Vatican, a stillness unlike any other settled over the ancient stones. The golden light of the afternoon sun filtered gently through the stained glass windows, casting kaleidoscopic patterns on the marble floors and illuminating the faces gathered within. Each face told a story, a tapestry woven from years of faith, sacrifice, and unwavering devotion. At the heart of this sacred space sat Pope Francis, a man whose humility and compassion had touched millions around the world. Surrounded by a small circle of trusted aides and family, he sat quietly in his private chamber, the weight of countless prayers and hopes hanging heavy in the air. For decades, Pope Francis had been a beacon of hope, a voice for the voiceless, tirelessly advocating for the marginalized and urging humanity to choose love over division. Yet now, as the twilight of his life approached, the rhythm of his days had shifted. The usual bustle of meetings and public appearances gave way to moments of deep reflection, a solemn reckoning with the legacy he would leave behind. The room was thick with unspoken emotions, a blend of reverence, sorrow, and anticipation, as those present sensed that something profound was about to unfold. The clock ticked softly, marking time in a place where time itself seemed to pause. Then, with a gentle smile and a voice barely above a whisper, Pope Francis began to speak. His words, fragile yet filled with immense weight, carried the essence of a lifetime devoted to love and service. Little did those gathered know, these would be his final words, a message destined to echo far beyond the walls of the Vatican, touching hearts across the globe. The atmosphere was charged with a sacred energy, a moment poised on the edge of eternity as the world outside unknowingly held its breath, waiting to hear the last testament of a humble servant of God. As Pope Francis settled deeper into the worn armchair, the room seemed to shrink around him, becoming an intimate sanctuary where time slowed and every breath carried meaning. His aides leaned in, their faces a mixture of concern, admiration, and quiet anticipation. The soft rustle of papers and the distant murmur of prayers from the chapel beyond created a sacred backdrop, as if the very walls themselves were listening. Taking a deep breath, the Pope's eyes reflected a lifetime of joys, struggles, and unwavering faith. Life is a journey, he began, his voice steady but tender, each word deliberate and weighted with meaning. A journey filled with love, pain, and the grace of God. The room fell silent, the air thick with the gravity of his message. He spoke of compassion, not as a mere virtue, but as a lifeline connecting every human soul. Remember, he urged, every person you meet is a child of God, deserving of kindness and understanding. His mind wandered to the countless faces he had encountered during his papacy, refugees fleeing war, the sick confined to hospital beds, the lonely souls searching for hope. Each story was etched deeply into his heart, a mosaic of humanity's suffering and resilience. The aides exchanged glances, their eyes shimmering with unshed tears. They knew this was more than a farewell. It was a final lesson, a sacred charge. In our darkest moments, he continued, his voice rising with quiet passion, we must remember to love. Love is the only force that can heal our fractured world. The room seemed to pulse with his words, as if the very air was charged with the power of his conviction. Suddenly, a soft knock interrupted the moment. A young seminarian entered, his face pale and anxious. Holy Father, the world is waiting for your message, he said, voice trembling with urgency. The Pope smiled gently, a twinkle of warmth in his eyes. Let them wait a moment longer, he replied softly. What I have to say is for them, but it begins here, in this room, with love. The seminarian nodded, stepping back respectfully, allowing the moment to unfold. The Pope's gaze turned inward, reflecting on the path that had brought him here, the resistance he faced within the church, the criticism from the outside world, the countless battles fought in the name of peace and justice. Yet through it all, his faith in love's power never wavered. We are called to be shepherds, not just leaders, he reminded those around him, his voice growing stronger with each word. To guide with compassion, to serve with humility. A wave of emotion swept through the room. The aides felt as though they were witnessing a sacred rite, a passing of the torch. The Pope's words were a balm for their weary souls, a reminder of the sacred values they had pledged to uphold. Do not let fear guide your actions, he implored, locking eyes with each of them. Fear divides us, but love unites us. He shared stories of hope, Communities rising from the ashes of conflict, individuals finding strength in forgiveness, the quiet miracles of everyday kindness. We are all flawed, he said softly, but it is in our imperfections that we find our shared humanity. Embrace each other's flaws, for they make us whole. The room held its breath, the weight of his message settling deep into their hearts. The aides sensed the urgency beneath his calm exterior. His health was fragile, and time was slipping away. I may not have much time left, he admitted, vulnerability threading through his voice. But I want you to carry this message forward. Love is the answer. His thoughts turned to the future, a world where love triumphed over hatred, where compassion was the guiding light. You are the future of the church, he said with quiet conviction. You must be the bearers of this message. Do not let it die with me. Nodding solemnly, the aides felt the weight of responsibility settle upon their shoulders. This was no ordinary farewell. It was a sacred mission. The Pope's final moments were not about endings, but beginnings, igniting a flame that would burn brightly in the hearts of those who followed. As the conversation deepened, the Pope's strength waned. He leaned back, his breathing shallow but steady. Yet, even in his fatigue, his spirit remained unyielding. Remember, my dear friends, he whispered, every act of kindness, no matter how small, has the power to change the world. The aides leaned closer, hanging on every word, feeling the profound history unfolding in that room. Let your hearts be open, he urged, and let love guide your actions. Outside, the sun began its slow descent, casting a warm, golden glow across the chamber. The Pope's eyes sparkled with a mixture of joy and sadness, a serene acceptance of the journey's end. I am not afraid, he said softly, a peaceful smile gracing his lips. I have lived a life filled with love, and that is enough. Tears streamed silently down the faces of those gathered, a mingling of grief and gratitude. They were witnessing a moment that would be etched into their memories forever, a final testament to a life devoted to love and service. The Pope's last words were not just a farewell. They were a call to action, a reminder that love is the greatest gift one can give. As evening deepened, a profound silence enveloped the room. Each person sat in quiet reflection, the weight of the moment settling like a gentle embrace. Even in the face of death, the Pope's presence was a comforting balm, a testament to the enduring power of love. The fading light outside mirrored the solemnity within. Pope Francis, surrounded by those he cherished, took a slow, deep breath. The aides, still holding on to the echo of his words, felt a wave of sorrow and peace wash over them. They knew they were witnessing the close of an era, yet the legacy left behind was vibrant, alive, and unstoppable. With a soft smile, the Pope's gaze lingered on each person in the room. Remember, he whispered, love is the greatest commandment. It is what binds us together. Though faint, his voice carried the strength of a lifetime, dedicated to compassion and service. In that moment, the aides understood that his final message was not just for them, but for the entire world, a timeless reminder that love transcends all boundaries. As his eyes closed, a serene expression settled over his face. The aides held their breath, the air thick with emotion and reverence. They could feel the shift, a quiet acceptance of what was to come. In those final moments, the Pope's presence felt like a warm embrace, a testament to a life well lived. When he spoke again, his words were barely audible, yet they resonated deeply. Carry this message forward. Let it be a light in the darkness. With that, he took one last breath, and the room fell into a profound silence. The aides, overwhelmed by grief, felt the weight of his absence before it fully registered. They had lost not just a leader, but a father figure, a guiding light in their lives. In the days that followed, the world mourned the loss of Pope Francis. Yet his words echoed in the hearts of millions. News outlets shared his final message, and social media buzzed with tributes celebrating his life and legacy. People from every corner of the globe reflected on his teachings, finding solace and inspiration in his call to love and compassion. As the aides gathered to honor his memory, they shared stories of his kindness, his laughter, and his unwavering faith. They vowed to carry his message forward, to be the bearers of love in a world desperately in need of it. Each felt a renewed sense of purpose, inspired by the Pope's final words to make a difference in their communities. In quiet moments of reflection, they realized that though he had departed from this world, His spirit lived on through their actions. The lessons he imparted would continue to inspire generations, a legacy of love that would never fade. Standing together, united in grief and hope, they whispered his final words to one another. Love is the answer, a mantra to guide them through the days ahead. In the end, Pope Francis left behind more than a message. He left a movement, a call to embrace love in all its forms. His final moments were a powerful reminder that even in the face of death, love prevails. It is this love that will continue to light the way for all who choose to follow. As the sun set on that fateful day, the world held its breath. But the legacy of Pope Francis soared high, a beacon of hope and love that would never dim.